Was it supposed to do a certain color?
It says it looks like it's recording.
Okay, good. Okay, so Kyle, I don't really know what to ask you first, except for telling me a little bit about your story before you got into being a big guru on Shopify.
For sure. Yeah, no. My story is pretty benign, I guess. I started with it actually IT, and I was an IT consultant and sort of migrated over to the online digital marketing space over time, got involved in just doing lead gen, paid traffic, email marketing, and did that for larger companies. I did that for smaller companies. And it was the journey that sort of led to eventually to doing e-commerce. And then about three and a half years ago now, I met it was a professor of mine in college who had started like 6 months before we started talking, Amazon, FBA Amazon business he had a art supply product that he had custom created. And so I was interested at that time in Amazon. I'd kind of been learning about it, studying, hearing. This was probably 2015, late 2015. And so we met at a party and started talking, and he was like, hey, I'm doing this Amazon business. I was like, that's awesome. I've sort of been researching a little bit. Here's what I know. We started dialoguing, and it was cool. I mean, he was like, hey, you want to come?
You never know when you're going to meet anybody, do you?
No, you don't. It's all about networking. Like somebody asked me, so one of the things that I do is I'm an adjunct professor at university, and I teach online marketing to undergraduates. Enjoy it. Do it every year.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And so I get to, these students ask me questions, and one of them asked, what's the most important thing I can do to increase my career, to grow my career, to, find success?
The number one burning question, help me grow.
Right. Yeah. And I thought about that for a few minutes. And then what came to me was this. If I was to boil it all down, it is being able to maintain and build relationships with people over time.
Well, how do you maintain? You've met somebody at an event.
Sure.
Not particularly this person that you already knew.
Right.
So meeting a random person at an event, and it sounds like it's good, and then you go home to real life, and what does he look like? I've met 6 people.
Right.
So you want to reach back out. I personally, not that this is the right way to do, so correct me all the way along. Sure. Like I'm getting a personal coaching call here. This is fabulous.
Yes.
So what I always do is I take a picture of somebody.
Perfect.
And then I kind of give myself a little summary so that when I reach out to them, I know who they are and what they're doing. Or if I meet them somewhere else, it's like, oh yeah, that was Tom. That kind of thing. So what do you do to make sure that they're cemented in your mind?
For sure. What I'll try to do immediately is get their contact information, whether that's by Facebook, by email, or text, right? So I'll just text them. And once we meet or I get that information, I'll immediately just send them off a quick, hey, it was great meeting you. And then I have a record of it. And then what I typically will do is I schedule in my calendar or a task, if it's like a conference or if it's at a meetup or wherever, I like a 15 minutes to go and sort of catalog those contacts. Like, so I'm putting it in my calendar. I'm going to go and just follow up with them individually. And maybe it's email or text or however it is. And it's just, hey, it's really great meeting you. If there's any way that I can be of help or value or based on the conversations we had or wherever that went, I'm just reaching out. And then my goal, and this is where it gets challenging, right, is to be proactive in maintaining that relationship. Now, there are some relationships that you're growing that are very strategic in what you're doing, and you're trying to reach out to people, and so you're on it, right? You're trying to do it. Then there's other relationships where you have a ton of very valuable. You want to get to know them better, and you want to be able to help their business, but you're not actively thinking about it. And I think the skill set to develop is really a mindset of I want to be the proactive one reaching out to people and building and maintaining those relationships. And honestly, I think it just comes down to discipline and putting it in your calendar and really prioritizing it in your life and what you do. It doesn't have to be an hour-long conversation with someone. It could literally be a 30-second text message or, hey, how's it going? Just thinking about you. Love to connect soon type thing. And then just check in with people and then try to get better and better and better doing that.
Well, I guess you do. But Kyle, I know you're married. Were you married prior to starting this online business?
I was. Yeah, I was married.
Okay. Because that's a whole different subject, really, on organization and how to be a good father, which you're a new father. Right? How old is your little?
My daughter just turned 5.
Oh, I love that age. They're so playful at that age. Oh,
she's adorable. Yes.
But it takes a lot of time away from the family. Your business is a lot of time away from the family. So to juggle everything, how do you really do that?
It can be a challenge. It can be a challenge. It really depends on sort of the relationship that you have set up with your spouse prior, or like you've sort of established the guidelines. For us, there's times where I was better at it and worse at it, where I would be just like going at it. Yeah, like it really kind of has gone back and forth. I really try to be sensitive to like her feelings on it. Like she will tell me, like, hey, too much, and I'll be like, cool. And then over probably in the last year, 2 years, I've started to get better at just creating more efficient boundaries in what I do with business. Like I'll work, and even though there's a ton more work to do, I'd be like, nope, that work will be fine until Monday. And then the weekend, I'll just be like, I'm not thinking about work. I'm going to go and just prioritize spending that time. And there's occasionally where I'll have to like work for a couple hours. And the other thing I'll do often is I'll just get up super early and get a couple hours of work in before, like on the weekend if I need to, or stay up a couple hours later than what they're going to bed or whatever.
Yeah, because you're working with people in different time zones. We're in a different time zone. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, I have clients in London and in the East Coast. Yeah, so it's all over the place.
And you still have a Shopify store, do you?
Yeah. I have a Shopify store. I'm in the art supply space. Most of our business currently actually happens on Amazon. And so with Jason, who's my business partner in our coaching consulting business,
name these things, Kyle. What is your store called? What is your...
Yeah, so our brand is Leda, Leda Art Supply, and you can find it all over Amazon. And then, Leda, Leda Art Supply. We sell sketchbook journals. They're very similar to look to a Moleskine, but we are targeting and going after artists. Like that's what we do. We're a company that's built to help artists make the world a more beautiful place. That is our mission and what we try to accomplish.
Now, does that also come down to people that are trying to design a book cover, or is it more big scale artists?
It's more just people who like to draw, make art, and create art with pencil, pen, charcoal,
and are you
pastel.
Are you
No, not really. This is more my business partner. He's the artist. He's the product developer. I am the marketer, business side of it. I can make.
So marketing, what tools do you need? Sure. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No worries. Things that there's a delay.
Yeah. So now marketing tools. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, you're marketing on Amazon. Okay. A lot of people go to Amazon, but you also have your Shopify store. And so what tools? There's so many tools out there.
Yeah, there are. It depends on where you're at in your business. I think the danger is that there are a lot of shiny new objects and everyone's selling a course and everyone is making you think that you must have this tool in order to make $20 million tomorrow. And that's just not the truth. You need the biggest and best marketing weapon that you'll ever have is your focus. your focus on a particular channel and mastery of that channel, and making sure that you understand who your audience is and that your product or service connects with that audience in a valid way and makes a difference in their life. Like that ultimately is what you build your business on. So the tool you need in order to do that will vary widely depending on where your target audience is at, what your product or service is, and where you're at sort of in the growth stage of your business.
That still changes the tool that you use?
It can, right? Because you may end up being, so here's an example. You have started off and you're an Instagram influencer. So your tool set's going to be your camera and Instagram. Now you may scale that up and you're doing great on Instagram, you're building a big audience. The next tool that you might bring to the table, right, is an email platform, because you want to build your email list off of your and convert your Instagram followers into email subscribers that you can then run even more affiliate deals. You're building that relationship. And then maybe the next tool that you start to develop is your Shopify store, where now you're not only creating content on Instagram, but you decide to start the blog, and you want to have an e-commerce component to that blog. So you build it on Shopify. So the tool sets or the technology, the channels in which you have can begin to grow and develop depending on where you're starting, depending on what your skill set is. Another example of that would be you have to decide how you want to build your audience. If you're a writer, then blogging and creating that sort of content, ebook content, would be a great place to start. If you're great on video and you don't like to write, then YouTube would be the place where you may want to get your start. So it really comes down to knowing where you're most comfortable and where you feel like you have the most leverage to grow an audience, and then start there. So the tools required to do that will sort of vary.
Right. So overall, you're really happy with the Shopify store. You're staying with it. So is this the niche that you're in now with the artists that you started with, or did you change platforms throughout your career?
It is. No, we started with the niche of art supplies, although we did launch a different brand in the skateboard niche on Amazon as well. And we're actually getting ready to sell that company. Okay. So that'll be cool and fun, and continue to expand and grow. So our Amazon business in the art supply, we're on Amazon.com. We're also in all of the European marketplaces, and we're also in Japan. So yeah, so we are.
And how do you do that with the language barrier? Because I'm looking at going into Germany, only because I have someone that can translate for me properly, because translations on the computer is not good enough for that, for marketing. So do you have other associates, or do you have VAs? How do you do that?
There are professional translation companies out there that will basically focus on just getting your stuff translated for you at a professional level. So there are whole companies sort of dedicated to that process.
I didn't realize you were that big of a heavy hitter, actually. So thank you so much for coming on with me. I'm just a newbie into all these things, and
no worries.
You've been a mentor to me, and every time that I've asked a question, you've answered me right away. So your timing for everything, your organization skills is what I really value, and I'm trying to keep myself organized. And that's been a little bit of a challenge. So I'm very grateful that you were able to tell me more about what you're doing. Is there anything in particular you'd like to share before because I don't want to take all your time. I'd love to be for hours and hours. You've got so much information. But we'd like to be able to tell the audience, and I'll put down on the footnotes all the ways that they can get a hold of you. So you are teaching at a school. I just want to summarize here just quickly. You're teaching at a school where?
Northwest University, right outside of Seattle.
I didn't realize you were out of Seattle as well. So right outside of Seattle. And this is what, like a summer camp? When you're saying that you just do it periodically, what are you meaning?
No, I teach one course, online marketing. It's in the spring semester.
Okay.
So it's a university level undergraduate class in marketing for the School of Business.
Oh, very good. Okay, then you have your Shopify store. And what is that called?
It's litaartsupply.com.
Oh, the same as it is on Amazon.
Yeah, it's the same brand. So we sell on Amazon, there on Shopify, and then we're looking at expanding into Walmart as well. So we got invited to sell on Walmart. So we're exploring what that would look like. Yeah, it's fun and crazy.
Yeah, great. Well, you've kept your marriage alive as well at the same time, because you never know.
Right.
There,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's hard to do with all this, because I know I'm putting in a little bit more hours than I thought I would be putting in, and I want to speak honestly to people that it doesn't come up, because I know the first thing that I purchased, and I went to an event in Vegas. You know, you come home and it's that shiny object. I am that shiny object girl that, oh, I should buy this. And I think it's coming to me through osmosis. But you really need to knuckle down, and you really need to give yourself hours that you are dedicating to it, and tell your family and friends, I need to spend these hours. And that's why I wanted you to come out and tell us the honest truth on how many things it is. It's not as glamorous, but it is. Take a laptop and we'll travel. And getting to go to many nice, interesting places, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it gets there. It does take time.
And
it really,
I think it really takes, if you focus down and know your niche. How long did it take you to start really growing?
it depends on the skill set you bring to the table. This is what the conversations I have with clients, right? Because if you already understand marketing or technology at a high level, then it shortens the learning curve. If you have to sort of become a marketer and a technologist and really understand how to connect all of the pieces together, then it can take longer, because you have to learn and build the skill set in order to get to your goals. Every level in business requires a certain skill set for you to have mastery on. And as you scale your business, the new and better skill sets you have to acquire along the way, because the skill set it takes to get to $100,000 a year is far different skills than going to $10 million a year. And so in between that, there's a lot of plateaus, and there's a lot of small learning curves you have to get good at, and getting good at delegating and building systems and all of those components. So if you have experience doing that in the private sector or in big business or in the corporate world, and you can take that and apply that to your entrepreneurial efforts, then you're ahead of the curve, right? You can potentially go faster. Another thing that speeds it up is if you have the finances, you can then hire people to do some of this work for you and shorten the learning curve as well. Potentially, that can also backfire on you depending on.
Well, I think a lot of my listeners are going to be, I'm in the over 60 crowd. And so a lot of us didn't necessarily realize in the baby boomer age that we should have had a pension. So we're going to have to work our whole lives. And it's more of the single moms, or not necessarily just women, but people that, didn't have that big corporate pension plan and want to get back at things. And maybe the gray matter doesn't work quite as fast. And so you need to keep going at, but the finances aren't always there. I mean, everything costs so much money to be able to advertise. So 3 tips on who a newbie or a person that's fairly new, maybe where should they start their advertising?
They should start their advertising where their audience is at. Meaning, the first thing that you have to know is, who are you serving and what is their burning need? So, for example, if you're getting started in your business, so for example, we sell art supplies. What the artists want is a product that makes them feel good about creating their art, even though they may not this isn't the greatest art, but it has everything that they want. It has a certain feel to it. The paper is a certain thickness. It has a certain tooth, because that is what they've said. Like, this is different. This feels different. It takes like the pencil in a different way. And so they are experts at that, because that's their life. That's what they do, right? So we try to serve them and give them products that helps make it easier for them to create amazing art. Whether that is them just doodling.
5 years old, I'm not saying 5 years old. I shouldn't have said 5 years old.
Right.
Your daughter is. And,
Sure.
right up to the person at home. So how do you actually target that's a wide net. How do
Right.
you narrow in to find out what your net really is? What your
Sure. Yeah. I think as you start to get scale on some of your social media platforms and when you start to run things, you just end up testing your way to it. So for the fact, well, I can tell you definitively that most of the buyers of any consumer goods product are women ages 30 to 60. Those are the people that buy, regardless if you're selling to men or kids or whatever. The people who are running the world and buying these products are typically women in that age range.
Yes.
So that's a safe place to start with any sort of marketing test, is just know in general who the consumer buying is at, where it's at, and who are your buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though your target niche might be different, make sure that you're accounting for who's actually going on Amazon or going to your website, putting in the credit card and making that purchase. So that's where I would start is just knowing the general framework of the marketplace and who's buying.
Right.
And then you're going to know based on specifics. The other thing you can do is just get really clear on your competitors, people that are 1, 2, 3, 4 levels above you in terms of sales and what they're doing. But everyone has competitors in their niche. And go look what they're doing. Look at their marketing, look at their messaging, look at their branding, look at their websites, look at their products, and get really, really familiar, because in order for you to make an impact, take market share, and drive revenue, those are the people you have to eventually compete against. And so you need to know what they're doing and do the research to figure out what the landscape looks like in that place as well.
Wow, Kyle, do you take people on a one-to-one? You and Jason?
We do.
You take people on a one-to-one, and you guide them through all of these things. And where do they contact you?
Right. The best place to contact, we're actually right in the middle of switching our website. So whenever you are watching this or seeing it, you can go to winning.online.
Winning.online. I'll post
that will be
a lot of the credits as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's fabulous, because really a lot of us, even though you're going to be paying a lot of money up front, it will get you there without all the headaches. Or if you're the person that wants to be methodical, sit down in your office every day. Mm-hmm. It is every day. It's not.
It is.
It's not what I thought it was.
Well, I mean, there are people who you can either do it as a hobby or you can do it as a business. If you want to do it as a hobby, you're going to get hobby results.
It's going to take
a
little.
You want to do it as a business, then you will eventually get business results. Yeah. And I mean, you have to start somewhere, and it's really sort of the application of progress. You just try to get 1% better every single day on any of the things you're doing. And then at the end of 30 days and 60 days and 90 days, you're going to see the compound effect of your efforts. And don't minimize that. Just say, I just want to get 1% better today at my marketing, 1% better today at my product research, at the systems, at how I manage my time, because you are going to bake in an amazing growth curve into your business and into your life if that's your mindset. I think part of it is we grossly underestimate what we can do over the long haul, and we grossly overestimate what we can do in the short term. Mm-hmm. And so have more long-term thinking. Mm-hmm. Think about the long-term impact of your decisions, not just the short term. And that's the disadvantage of the shiny object syndrome that we're prone to as marketers, because if you're selling online, you want to be, you like marketing, like you want to get better at marketing, and so you are prone to the marketing messages of all these marketers that are out there. And they do a really fantastic job. And so it's the shiny object, but you have to be willing to say, no, that's cool, I'll put that in my email for later, when I need that, I can go back and look at it. But right now it's laser focused on the things that matter. And what matters is knowing and clearly identifying who your audience is, what your brand is about, and the product or service that you want to offer to that audience, and get that clarified and clear, and then start building that audience. And the best way and the cheapest way you can start to do that is look for products that you can, or even ebooks or digital products that you can use to build your email list, sort of the ebook mentality. Run contests or giveaways, and even work with influencers in your niche to collaborate with. That you can usually do that at a fairly inexpensive way, and really start to think about ways to collaborate even with your peers in your niche as well. If there's ways you can cross promote, you can put on like virtual sort of summits with other influencers or other people where you do like a shared, like just like this with like a Zoom call, and invite people to webinars and have them sort of join that way. That's a fairly low cost way to be able to do that. And then just get really, really good at one or two things. And then you can start stacking things on, and you'll be surprised how quickly you can start to see revenue start to generate.
Well, maybe I'll have you and Jason on my next round then.
That would be fantastic.
It would be great all the way around. Now, when you're doing these classes, just before I close and say goodbye to you, not that I want to, but do people have to go to Seattle to see you, or do you do this online like this?
No, we do. We have a couple. So we have about 3 different groups that we currently operate in. We have our Inner Circle, which is our group mentoring coaching, where we do it's actually a once a month Zoom call that everyone jumps on, and they talk about their business, and they are, which you need to make sure you're on our monthly calls, and to jump in, talk about what's working, what's in their business, what's not working, where they're struggling, where they're having success. And it's just a group coaching call. And then we also put out training inside the Inner Circle as well. And that is that group. And it's open. Usually it's open most of the year. Yeah. It's like $37 a month. It's a paid group. You're in that. You get access to our training. You get access to us in a private Facebook group to ask questions. But it's not just Jason and I in that group either. It's a whole range of e-commerce operators that people are just starting out, to people that are doing millions of dollars a year in that group that are in there and willing to help and provide questions and our answers and insights. And then Jason and I also have a one-on-one coaching program that happens just over Zoom calls like this. It's a weekly program where we jump on the call, we walk through sort of our e-commerce framework, in which every brand, every e-commerce store, no matter what niche you're in, what service you do, you have to sort of go through this process and have it dialed in. And so we have a framework in which we walk our clients through. And then that's usually a 6-month it starts, we go in 6-month sprints with coaching clients. So we work for 6 months, and then we reevaluate, hey, do we need to go another 6 months? And then they can opt in to do that depending on where they're at and how much progress we made or what their goals are over that 6 months. And then we also have a local meetup group that's 6- and 7-figure e-commerce sellers that meet here in Seattle. And we usually meet once a month, either in Seattle or in the east side here in Bellevue. And we get together and we talk about strategy and just talk about our businesses and sort of mastermind a little bit. So those are the 3 areas in which we are running right now for groups.
And how do you keep your energy up? What do you do?
I love this stuff. So when you're doing something you love, it's easy to find the energy to do it. I mean, I really enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy helping, just having insight and conversation and the opportunity to have impact into somebody else's business and ultimately their life and the life of their employees and where they're going is just a real honor. And I'm humbled to do it. I love to do it. And if I can help you in any way grow your business, that's my goal. Like that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But you're an awesome guy. You're an awesome guy. And I really want to thank you for coming on. And I will have everything posted underneath, but you have to send it to me so that I can do that.
Got it.
All right. Thanks. And bye for now. And thank you everyone for listening to Kyle Hanner. And we'll talk to you next week with another awesome entrepreneur.
Perfect. Thanks for having me on, Christine.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.